This time we'll call the meeting of January 21st, 2014 to order. Councilmember Friend, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Absolutely. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Valdivia. Here. Councilmember Friend.
Present.
Mayor Velasquez.
Present.
Councilmember Scatini.
Here.
Councilmember Gomez.
Here.
Interim City Manager Rivera.
Present.
City Attorney Sullivan.
Here.
And Chief of Police Westrick.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Verification of agenda posting.
The agenda for the City Council meeting of January 21, 2014 was posted on the bulletin board at City Hall on January 15 at 2:50 p.m. per Government Code Section 54954.2.
Thank you. Employee Service Awards for fourth quarter.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. It's my pleasure this evening to recognize Charlene Hannibal, Senior Support Services Assistant at the City Service Center for 15 years of service. Charlene was hired in 1998 and actually started her first assignment was in the city clerk's office working with Jerry Johnson. And then not too long after that, she relocated out to the service center where she's been ever since. And we love having her out there because she's very efficient. She keeps everything organized and makes sure we're all doing the right things, just like at home. Some of her main responsibilities are that she's the first point of contact with residents that are coming out to the service center for business via in person or on the phone. She handles a lot of the calls regarding our street tree operation, issues related to our fleet operations with regard to the fuel management. She handles all that along with Cheryl Mullen, doing all the recording for that. Really, any success that we have in the Community Services Department with our Public Works maintenance operations, she's always a part of the good things that happen out there, and she's a very valuable member of our team, and wanted to ask her to come up and receive her pin for 15 years of service.
Thank you very much for all the hard work you do for us.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I'd like to recognize Sergeant Don Pershall for 15 years of service. Don and I first met August 20th of 2003. That was my first day here at Hollister. And Don and I have actually worked together quite a bit, actually. We've been through death and life together. I'm going to call him out, too. He's really close to getting his bachelor's degree right now, but he's, I don't know what he's waiting for. Anyway, he is a wonderful employee. He's a great example of the wonderful employees that we have at Hollister PD and in the city of Hollister. And with this, I'd like to congratulate him for 15 years of service with us.
Thank you, Don. Is that it? Let's move on to item 1, the election of Mayor Pro Tempore. Is there a nomination from the council?
I'd like to make a nomination for Pauline Valdivia.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Didn't vote.
Thank you. Oh, I didn't vote, no. Aye. Okay. Oh, good, I'm gonna break tradition, right? Okay, here we go. Oh, over here, great, wonderful.
Yes.
Gotta raise your right hand.
Hi, Paulina Olivia.
solemnly swear
Solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith
I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United
to
States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California.
and I take this obligation freely
Excuse me, the first. Oh, I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will,
well and faithfully,
faithfully and faithfully
discharge the duties
upon which I am about to enter. Thank you. So we change? So I just need to take this. I'll leave my stuff there. Thank you.
Congratulations. Welcome, neighbor.
That's my water. Okay, congratulations, Vice Mayor.
Thank you.
Valdivia. Let's move forward to consent agenda, item A.
If I may, oh, sorry. If I may, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to, staff would like to pull item A13.
A13.
Yes.
I'm sorry, just the 3 resolutions or everything?
I guess you're right. How about just the 3 resolutions?
It's 2014-13, 14, and 15.
Thank you, Jerry.
Okay.
That's 13, 14, 15.
Yes.
So those are the ones that are pulled?
The request of city manager.
Yeah.
Are there any other items from council?
Consent item? Okay, thank you.
No?
Nope.
Okay, is there a motion?
Motion to,
Approve the consent calendar with the exception of item A13, 14, and 15.
It's not A13, it's the 3 resolutions on item A13.
14, 15, 13, 14, 15.
Yes.
Okay,
second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. Move forward to item A13, resolution 2014-13.
Go ahead, Mike.
Mayor, council, I'm requesting you to pull these 3 items, 13, 14, and 15. We have a little bit more work to do on them, and some work with the union to make sure that everything's perfect on it. So I would like to bring it back on February the 3rd, if that's okay with the council.
So you want to table that till February
February
14th?
Or 14? Yeah, the next meeting in
The next-
February.
At the next meeting?
The 3rd, isn't it?
February 3rd.
It is
Third.
February 3rd.
Okay. All right, is there a motion to table?
Just not all of A13, or?
No, just those 3 items. It's the administrative captain's
So
position.
you're still looking to approve or get approval on
Second.
10, 11, and 12?
No,
Correct.
13, 14, 15.
13, 14, 15.
10, 11, 12, 16, 17 have been approved.
Right.
And they were approved by the unanimous vote, right?
Okay, is there a motion to table items 2014-13, 14, 15? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Move forward to item B, B1.
Motion to approve B1?
For a second. Was that Councilmember Friend? You seconded it?
Yes.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Move on to public input. This is a time for anyone in the audience to speak on any item not on the agenda and within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council. When the city clerk calls your name, please come to the podium, state your name and city for the record, and speak to the city council. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes. Please note that state law prohibits the city council from discussing or taking action on any item not on the agenda. Do we have any speakers?
I have no speakers cards tonight.
Wow. All right. Items D and E, there's no business. Move forward to item F1.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This item came before you at the first meeting in, last meeting in January. This is the second reading to adopt the building code for the City of Hollister, the 2013 edition. Again, staff is recommending that we read by title only and adopt ordinance number 1096.
Okay, is there a motion?
So move.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor?
Do we have to read that by title only?
Yes, you are the city attorney, please.
Read by title only, waive full recording, and adopt ordinance number 1096. Let's move forward to item F2.
Good evening. The applicant is requesting the City Council to consider a proposal to pre-zone a 19.49 acre site. On November 21st, 2013, the Planning Commission approved resolutions 2013-27 and 2013-28, recommending to the City Council the approval of the mitigated negative declaration for the proposed project and the approval of pre-zone 2011-2. On December 16th, 2013, the City Council adopted Resolution 2013-210, adopting the mitigated negative declaration for pre-zone 2011-2 and approving the mitigation monitoring and reporting program, and held a public hearing to introduce ordinance 1097. Staff was directed to schedule a second reading of the ordinance for tonight, January 21st, 2014. With this, staff recommends a read by title only, waive full reading, and adopt ordinance number 1097, an ordinance of the City of Hollister amending Municipal Code Chapter 1724-250, pre-zoning of specifically described real property to low-density residential performance overlay zone. Any questions?
Go ahead, Councilmember.
I move to approve.
Councilmember Scatini has a question.
Sorry about
That area right now is in the county, am I
Yes.
correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, that's in the Spear
Yes.
City?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from council? Any speakers?
Move to approve by title only, ordinance number 1097.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Move forward to item F3.
Okay, the next agenda items, F3 through 5, refer to approving annexation agreements for 3 separate properties and authorizing the mayor to execute the agreements on behalf of the City of Hollister, and resolutions of the City Council of the City of Hollister requesting LAFCO to initiate proceedings for the annexation of territory for these following properties. The City Council adopted ordinance number 1081, pre-zoning 2.761 acres into the City of Hollister as a prerequisite of annexation. Dassel Mackey Rental is currently the owner of .273 acres located at 1081 San Felipe Road, and Gailey Products Incorporated is the owner of .298 acres located at 1161 San Felipe Road. And this is a portion of that 2.761 acres that were pre-zoned previously. The third property has scheduled the second reading for the adoption of the ordinance 1097, pre-zoning 19.49 acres by the applicant Award Homes Incorporated into the City of Hollister for tonight, which is the item you just heard. The property is located between Ladd Lane to the east, Southside Road to the north, and Samio Street to the west. The applicants for all three properties have reviewed and they have all signed their respective annexation agreements pertaining to their applications. And with this, staff recommends the council take three separate actions to approve the resolutions listed for each item, authorizing the mayor to execute the agreements on behalf of the city of Hollister, and resolutions of the city council of the city of Hollister requesting LAFCO to initiate proceedings for the annexation of the territory.
Okay,
Any
thank you.
questions?
Are there any questions from council? Are there any speaker cards? Let's move first with the item F3.
Motion to approve resolution 2014, 18, and 19.
Second.
All in favor? Aye, motion carries. Move
Motion
on.
to approve resolution 2014, 20, and 21.
Second.
All in favor? Aye, motion carries. Move to item F5.
Motion to approve resolution 2014, 22, 23.
Second.
All in favor? Aye, motion carries. And let's move forward to item F6.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. It is my pleasure to bring this item to you tonight. At the beginning of last year, around April of last year, this City Council, along with former City Manager Clint Coulter, appointed Mike O'Connor, at that time a captain, as interim fire chief. At that point, he began assuming the duties of the fire chief. I think at that time, the city finalized essentially the contract with the county and San Juan Bautista. Mike has been working probably 80 to 90 hours a week, every week since then. We did go through a full recruitment process, and during that process, it was determined that Michael O'Connor was the most qualified person for the position. So tonight, I'm asking that the City Council adopt the resolution authorizing the appointment of Chief O'Connor to the City of Hollister.
Okay, is there any questions from the council?
I've been saying I don't know for 7 months.
Speaker cards?
Yes, Marty Richmond.
Good evening, members of the council. Mr. Mayor, Marty Richard from Hollister. Chief O'Connor certainly didn't know I was going to come up here tonight. In my former life, as several years as the safety manager of LifeSpark, a company that dealt with extremely hazardous materials, from bringing in a factory here, putting that factory together, hiring several hundred people. I had the pleasure of dealing on a very frequent basis with now Chief O'Connor, who was then the fire marshal. And I want to tell you from personal experience, he is professional. He is a person who knows his business. He understands how difficult a job it is to protect yourself in these environments. And we have several companies here who deal with hazardous materials. And he was completely thorough and always went over all the planning, checking the emergency procedures with a fine-tooth comb, going out and making sure he saw the test of the sprinkler systems, and personally going out and inspecting portions of the operation to make sure they were in compliance. And I was always very favorably impressed. And to me, nothing goes further than a personal recommendation. This has nothing to do with friendship. He's not a friend of mine. I don't even know where he lives. But I got to tell you, I've always felt confident that he knew his business, and if we ever got in trouble in dealing with hazardous materials, they would know exactly how to come and help us out, because he did everything from measure curb to curb to make sure that the fire truck could fit in the roads, to make sure every building was placarded properly, to make sure all the people were trained properly, to walking around and checking the fire extinguishers, to looking at how items were stored. And I was always very favorably impressed. So I think you've made a good selection, and I hope it turns out to be good for the council, the residents, and the chief. And he shouldn't work 90 hours a week. because although that shows a lot of dedication, it's also on the way to burnout. So you have to take a break, Chief O'Connor. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers? Councilmember Gomez?
Yeah, I just want to thank Marty. You dropped the $20 bill Mike gave you. Just playing. No, I just want to tell Mike thanks. We appreciate all the work that you've done as before you were interim, but now as interim. You took the position of interim during some pretty interesting times, some transitional period, and some new ideas that came to the council and to the county together. And I think you've done an excellent job with that. There's other things, obviously, that you've done within your department that have, again, has allowed you to gain the respect from your employees. So, with that said, early, I guess, congratulations, Mike, and keep up the good work.
Vice Mayor Valdivia.
Oh, hi, Mike. Know Mike for a long time and his family, and also want to congratulate you. You have a hard task before you, but you've really stepped up to the plate, especially with the contract that we have with San Juan Bautista, et cetera. So I just want to congratulate you, and we look for a good future.
Thank you.
For the city. Thank you.
Councilmember Scattini?
Well, I'm not for Mike. I think Mike should not get involved. Mike and I go back a long time ago. Mike worked for me as a peace officer with the marshal's office, and he worked for me for several years, I think about 6-7 years. And Mike has always been dedicated. Like Marty said, he's always been a professional. He's always on time. He put a lot of laws together for the marshal's office that even the state bought into it. So, Mike, I want to really congratulate you, and I've worked with you on combining the FAR services, and you did a tremendous job. And you did probably put 80, 90 hours in. Thank you very much, Mike.
Councilmember Friend?
Yeah, I have a few comments. I've only known Mike about 10 years, off and on. But as a previous volunteer fireman in another city, in the course of my employment, I have had to deal with a lot of wildfires and emergency situations. And, while Mike's been the interim chief, he's flat impressed everybody that's ever been involved in any of the situations he's been involved in. He's the kind of guy that in an emergency shows up with a plan. He doesn't wait to get there and figure out who's there, what the situation is. On his way to the situation, and I've heard him many times on the radio, he already has a plan. When he gets there, he hits the road running. The firemen that are there waiting to be told what the plan is don't have to worry. When he's not going to stand around and get a committee together and figure out what they're going to do. He has a plan, and he takes charge. And in a situation like the fire we had in San Juan, the fire at the liquor stores, you don't want somebody to do things by committee. You want somebody to be in charge, and there's no doubt Mike is. So congratulations.
Mike, Chief O'Connor, did you read the contract? It says 100 hours plus.
Hey, when you're enjoying the work.
My story with you, it goes back, I think, 10, 12 years ago when I was remodeling one of my buildings, and you'd come to me and said, look, we can't make you put fire sprinklers in, but we really would appreciate it if you would. I don't know what that meant at the time, but $40,000 later, I'm glad I did it then, and I can appreciate it now knowing my buildings are safe. But the effort you put in over the last year, making all these things happen with San Benito County and San Juan Bautista in our city and the reserves and now the explorers, I'm proud of you. You've done a great job for the city, the county, and for all the communities, so congratulations. We look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve Resolution 2014-24.
The first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Congratulations, Chief.
Thank you.
I'd like to have a speech from you.
Mr. Mayor? Oh, I'm sorry.
Only thing is, all the stuff I've done, I've only done it with my staff. And so, I mean, they've worked hard too, and they put in a lot of hours too to help me. So I can't take all the credit for everything that's done down there. I just lead them, they do the work, and we work together. So, thank you.
As long as the chief's not called out on a fire tomorrow, we will be giving him the oath of office in here tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Tomorrow at 10 a.m. I'm going to change my schedule again for you. Thank you. Let's move forward to item G1, reports from city council members regarding their committees. Councilmember Gomez.
Yeah, I do have a report, just a brief report out, and Councilmember Scatini can follow up if I miss anything from COG. But no, first of all, I want to thank my fellow directors up there for appointing me as chairman of the board for COG. I'm excited.
Congratulations.
Going on my 6th year now on COG, ever since I came on board, and transportation issues kind of encompass me in my private work as well as elected up here. So I'm excited to take on that position this year. One of the large items, obviously, that came up, we spoke about the relinquishment of Highway 25 going through downtown, and then eventually the Caltrans taking over the bypass. And everything's on pace, everything's moving forward. The biggest issue that came up was the allocation of STIP funding for the completion of Highway 25's environmental document. As many of you know, back in the early 2000s, they were looking at widening Highway 25 from San Felipe Road to the 101. The draft environmental document came back in 2010. They took in feedback from the community, and now it's the direction of some that we spend a little bit of money to close the environmental document, respond to those folks that had concerns or comments, and recommend a no-build project alternative for Highway 25. Obviously, since then, in 2010, we completed the safety project on Highway 25, and that has been, that was huge. Obviously, under the leadership of the past council member and COG director, Brad Pike, and a coalition of community members, that was done, and obviously through funding from the redevelopment agency and I believe other sources, the project was completed in 2010, and since then, Highway 25 has actually been a very safe roadway. So we do have, obviously, concerns of, at least some of us do, have concerns of selecting a no-build project alternative. And mainly the reason why some people are supportive of the no-build option is because we have not been able to obtain commitments from the federal government or the state government in regards to funding of the project. They really show absolutely no interest in what happens on Highway 25 between Hollister and Gilroy. They look at it as a commuter issue. They look at it as a local issue, and it's not a regional problem. So Caltrans isn't very interested in that issue. But I wanted to keep you guys aware of the item. The only motion that was adopted or action that was adopted last week was dedicating $60,000 of STIP funding for the completion of work on the environmental document, in other words, responding to all the comments from the public. But we did table taking action and recommending to Caltrans the no-build project alternative. So that discussion will continue on. Obviously, one of my goals this upcoming year here and on COG is to revisit the traffic impact fees, the traffic impact fee program. So that's an opportune, it's a perfect opportunity to revisit what the future of Highway 25 is going to be. As somebody who uses it at least once, twice a day to go to work, it's not at capacity and may not need the improvements right now, but obviously we need to prepare ourselves for the future. We have a lot of growth here in Hollister, so it's just something that we need to continue to talk about. Whether it's the right thing or the wrong thing, I'm not saying that it's something that we need to do or we don't need to do, but it's definitely something that's going to be discussed this year when we start talking about transportation impact fees. So just wanted to keep you guys up to speed on that.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry,
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Mayor, one other action we took was it will be coming back as an action item at a future COG agenda, but we did extend Lisa Reinheimer's contract but an additional 2 years. So she will be on board for another 3 years. Her contract was up at the end of this year, so she will be on board with us. Unless obviously somebody breaks the contract, she'll be on board with us through 2016. So, yeah, thank you.
Can I ask a question? If it ever came up in the meeting, does the Pinnacles now being a national monument, is that going to have any effect on maybe getting some of the federal funds that we need to improve Highway 25?
You know, that's a good point. You know, it's definitely a good point to bring up, and hopefully we'll bring that up during the discussions on trying to attain federal and state funding for that. But that's definitely a good topic to bring up.
Vice Mayor Aldiga? No items. Councilmember Scatini?
Victor said it all. What can I say?
Councilmember Friend?
No, I have no report.
I do have a report from the Intergovernmental Committee. We have started discussions about the growing homeless issue that is going throughout our county. We have put together an ad hoc committee. Myself and Supervisor Margie Barrios will be meeting with some of the different groups involved in the homeless issue. Our chief is helping in that, so I appreciate that. So we're looking for some answers and a way to handle this issue in a responsible way. So we'll be bringing updated information to you. Let's move forward to item G2. Any information council members would like to report to the public, upcoming events? Councilmember Gomez?
No, I don't actually.
Vice Mayor Valdivia?
No pass.
Councilmember Scatini?
Yeah, I attended the Water Resource Board meeting, and everybody is pretty well concerned about our water situation, no rain, and that they're going to ask that we reserve water, save water as much as we can. If you shower, soap up first and then turn the water on and turn the water off. You might have to take a cold shower, but that's the way it's going to have to be. It's really a serious concern with the water board district, and I think it's the worst is to come, because right now, according to tonight's news, looks like the next 2 weeks there isn't going to be any rain in this area. So it's a real serious situation. That's it.
Councilmember Friend?
No.
Okay, I do have a solution for the rain. Sunny Arena and the intertribal group in San Juan Bautista are having a rain dance Sunday at 9:30 at the Mission. It's a lot of fun. Bring out some instruments and come out and join them. It'd be part of the drive to bring rain back to our community. All right, let's move to item G3.
I just have a couple things on next Monday night. We're gonna.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, it's the start of a new year. We're gonna do it right.
City Manager.
We're scheduled to have a study session on next Monday night. I hope everybody can make it. If you can't, please let us know as soon as possible. There's a few items that we'd like to discuss. I think we've also made contact with you about dissolving the WTA. That's a special meeting that is going to occur at the Veterans Memorial Hall on February 11th. And Councilman Scatini is absolutely correct. We will be bringing, I believe it's going to be at your regular meeting on February 3rd, a resolution from the Water District, or the Water Conservation, and we're going to probably start implementing the first phases of the Water Conservation plan. So,
Great. City Attorney,
Excuse me, nothing to report, sir.
and welcome aboard, by the way.
Thank you.
Chief of Police.
I just have a couple of things. Post Peace Officer Standard Training for California recently did a compliance check at the police department. We passed with remarks for our efficiency and our community involvement. If you read our Nixle release today, our school resource officer, on the first day of the second week that he was in service, actually was involved in a pretty major arrest of a parolee at large today, right at the Sunny Slope School. It was pretty cool. I was actually there. It was a really good, it was really nice to have that extra resource because he was close, was able to make sure that nothing really bad happened and averted, I think, maybe a real disaster. Mayor Velasquez and I met with some neighbors at Dunn Park, about a month or so ago. And Councilman Gomez and I went to a neighborhood watch meeting at Valley View Park. You'll be happy to know that there'll be some neighborhood watch signs at both locations within, I think, the next week or so. They'll be put up at both parks. So I thought that'll be kind of nice. And the last thing is if you haven't heard, retired Sergeant Andy Burgess was involved in a major collision in Gilroy. He's in bad shape. And just my thoughts and the thoughts of the police department and hopefully the citywide for his swift recovery. That's it.
Is there a fund that people are trying to raise money, I've heard?
Yeah, there is. It's sort of all over social media right now, and they're trying to help them out with some of the costs associated.
So where can people find that?
If they go to Hollister PD's Facebook page, there's a link to it right there. My personal Facebook page, there's a link to it as well. And kind of all over the different pages in Hollister right now.
Thank you very much. City Clerk?
I don't really have anything to report other than what I neglected to report last time when I was coughing so much. Pursuant to AB 1234, Christine and I were in San Diego the first week in December for the City Clerk's New Law and Elections Seminar, which was really, really good this year. Absolutely one of the best.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Let's move forward now to item G3.
We have a vacancy on the Area Agency on Aging Advisory Council, so I need you to help me find someone that can be appointed by the mayor and the council to fill that vacancy.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be a council member, does it?
No. In fact, Charlie Scott was a previous member.
Can you, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Can we get like an e-copy of kind of the description of the of the appointed position, and that way we could kind of reach out to our.
I was going to call them today and didn't get a chance, so I will definitely get that and get that to you.
Awesome.
Thank you very much. Let's move forward to item G4.
On this one, we have advertised and ask, and I know the Parks and Recreation Commissioners, current commissioners have asked, and we finally had one applicant, and in the last few days, we have had several emails from another resident who is very interested. So you can either appoint this applicant or let us take applications for another 2 weeks and then submit applications to you for a decision.
What would the council like to do?
I think we should just accept this applicant.
Okay, is there a motion?
I make the motion that the mayor appoints Marlene Medina.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Move to item G5. Go through the committees for 2014. We'll start with the Council of Governments. To appoint Victor Gomez, Robert Scatini, and Pauline Valdivia as the alternate.
This for COG?
This is for COG. Intergovernmental, I'd like to appoint myself and Councilmember Scatini. Fire Protection,
Oh, I'm sorry, could you have an alternate to intergovernmental?
oh, the alternate, Ray Friend.
Thank you.
For the Fire Protection Committee, I'd like to appoint myself and Robert Scatini. For AMBAG, I'd like to appoint Victor Gomez and Ray Friend as the alternate. California Council of Criminal Justice, Councilmember Scatini and myself as the alternate. The CEDS Committee, I'd like to appoint myself on that committee. The Governance Committee, I'd like to appoint Councilmember Scatini and Vice Mayor Valdivia and myself as the alternate. The Water Resource Association, I'd like to appoint Councilmember Scatini and Councilmember Friend as the alternate. The Pajaro River Watershed Authority, to appoint Councilmember Scatini and a member of staff, City Manager. On the Solid Waste Committee, Councilmember Friend and Councilmember Scatini. Economic Development Ad Hoc Committee, Councilmember Gomez and myself. Department Liaisons, Administration, Vice Mayor Valdivia. Police, Councilmember Friend. Fire, myself. Community Services, Vice Mayor Valdivia. Development Services, myself. Finance, myself. And for the motorcycle event, Councilmember Friend. San Benito County Local Solid Waste Task Force, Councilmember Friend and Vice Mayor Valdivia as the alternate. Monterey Bay Unified Air Pollution Control District, Councilmember Scatini as the alternate. Revenue Subcommittee, Councilmember Scatini and myself. Successor Agency for RDA, Councilmember Friend. Gang Prevention Policy Committee, Councilmember Scatini, Vice Mayor Valdivia, and myself as the alternate. San Benito County Courthouse Committee, Councilmember Scatini, and the Oversight Committee for the former Redevelopment Agency, Councilmember Scatini. I believe that covers it all.
I think so.
I hope.
Thank you very much. If the courthouse committee might be completed because it should be opening of all their funding and everything's in place, so we'll leave it on for now.
Thank you. Okay, let's move forward to item,
Before you leave
Do
that
we-
item, could we have a motion
Oh, I'm
for
sorry.
approval of
So
those
moved.
is there a
appointments?
motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Motion carries. Item H, I, J, and K, there is no business. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Motion carries. That was a really quick meeting. Thank you.